Ow.
Yo, Jen, what's good?
What up, lady? How you
And
been?
what they said in 2013, what's Gucci?
Oh, I think we just got in a time, what's it called?
Time portal?
Sure.
Yeah?
I was going to say a time capsule, but that's not right.
No, I mean, similarly, if we metaphorically dug it out of the ground and then inside was, I'm Gucci.
That's where we
there
are.
we are. Yeah.
Love that.
Anyways, hi.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm stellar.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. I'm already looking forward to falling asleep tonight, but I feel like that's a sign of a good day.
I would agree completely.
Mm-hmm.
And also, something I forgot to mention last week, Alex's birthday was last week.
Oh, yeah. I'm 29.
Wow.
29!
Someone get me out of this studio.
Sorry. I may be old, but I'm still fun and funky. So,
Did they also say that in 2013?
no, that's just an Alex original. I don't know if that's a thing,
I
but
love
it's
it.
okay.
Did you have a good birthday? What'd you do?
I did. We went to Grand Superior Lodge for dinner,
Uh-huh.
which was yummy, delicious. I ended up getting a Cajun fettuccine Alfredo.
Oh,
Bangin'.
that sounds so
Bangin'.
good.
They said, here's fettuccine, but for no upcharge, you can get it Cajun. And I said, Cajun that bitch.
Yeah.
And it was the best decision I could have made.
Oh, I bet.
It was beautiful, lake views, a little buggy, but then they had the large ladder golf outside,
fun.
like the giant one.
Yeah.
So we did that on the way out, got eaten alive a little bit. But then I went camping with my boyfriend at Grand Marais for a night, and that was really cool too.
I love that.
Yeah. So all in all, fantastic. I got this porcelain fish or the ceramic fish that I thought was really cool.
Oh.
It's really ugly. So it's one of those things where it's like, it'll be a talking piece.
Yeah.
Or like when I have grandchildren one day, they're going to be like, why does grandma always have that? And it's just going to be one of those things.
It's part of the time capsule.
But yeah. How was your trip to Arizona? We never talked about that.
We didn't?
I don't know. Did we?
I have no idea. Recap. Arizona was so fucking fun. I really missed my boyfriend and I miss him right now. But looking back on the memories, it was such a good time. I enjoyed my vacation. We were calling it, this is really 2013.
Ooh.
We were calling it a vacation.
Oh.
B-A-E. Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
Because apparently I have a bay. Anyways, Arizona was fun.
What do you have him saved in your phone as?
Henry Basala with a yellow heart.
Oh,
Do you want to know my name in his phone?
yes.
Jen Shiesty. Has
Do you
been
get
since
shiesty
day
pretty
one.
often?
I guess. Enough for him to save my name in his phone as that
Shiesty.
on the first day
What
we
is the
started talking.
definition of shiesty?
He explained it to me once. We'll talk about it later.
Oh, okay. Oh, so
It's-
it's PG.
Well, no, it's
Rated R, sorry.
appropriate.
Oh,
No,
okay.
I don't know how to explain it on the podcast without
Okay.
getting weird.
Is shiesty
Look
like
it up.
feisty?
I think it has something to do with like robberies.
Oh.
Like a lot of rappers are like shiesty, you know, like
Mhm.
in their name. So
yeah,
for
okay.
some reason, that's me.
Jen
I'm
Shiesty.
Jen Shiesty.
That's your rap name.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Okay.
Anyways.
Well, cool. So today we're talking about managing stress at work. I'm so excited for this topic.
Me too.
In a sense that I know everybody deals with it.
Mm-hmm.
Again, like we always say, there are two types of people in this world. People who experience stress at work and fucking
And
liars.
people who lie.
And people who lie.
Do you want to be a liar?
Or a truther.
Exactly.
Exactly.
I'm not saying he's a truther.
I'm so happy you knew that reference.
Yeah, Drake and Josh. Come on now.
Lovely. Well, as always, ladies, gents, and germs, this disclaimer is like every other one. We respect that your opinion will be different than ours. Jen and I have a lot of experience in different fields of work. These will probably be, generally speaking, from our experiences only and our advice directly coming from those experiences. So please don't chat GBT us and ask like where our credentials are coming from, because there are none. We have not quoted or cited any of these things. Strictly, these are coming from our brains and our mouths.
My credentials are my 23, almost 24 years of life.
Yeah, that's a lot actually, compared to some that are only like 10,
Yeah.
15.
Agreed.
That's a major amount more.
Well, here we are. I'm
And
about
here we
to dish
are.
it.
So put some respect on our names,
Amen.
y'all.
Mic drop that shit.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Ooh, no, you go.
I was just gonna say I would like to address your disclaimer, ladies, gents, and germs.
Yeah.
Trademark.
Yeah, no, that's been said. Could not tell you where it comes from, but that's just like one of those Midwestern sayings that's just like
I
really
love it.
tucked back into my brain.
That was everything.
Yeah.
That made me giggle.
Thanks.
All right, I guess I'll talk about my opinion now.
Let's go, Jen.
Yeah.
Let's go,
This
Jen.
is one of my favorite parts of the week. I just get to like sit here and like talk about my life, and you guys have to listen.
Yeah. And like be
So-
goofy and fun.
Yeah.
And guess what? Guess who have the mics? Us. Guess who doesn't? You. But guess who has us on in the car, listening to us on speakers? It's you.
It's you.
It's you.
Oh, God.
All right, Jen, take it
Okay.
away.
Time to get serious. A lot of
Serious.
Alex
Serious
just
has a heart
almost
attack.
choked on her water. A lot of factors add and build stress while working, such as your workload, how many projects or how many tasks you have at any given time, job insecurity, work-life balance, coworker conflict, organization, external factors, just to name a few. The list goes on and on and on, like a feminine phenomenon.
Feminine phenomenon.
Yeah. Get it hot like Papa John? Everyone in the workforce in some part of their career will experience stress. It's just how we work as humans, and it's just how the working world operates. I wish there was a way to avoid it, but I think we've come to a point in society where it's just kind of unavoidable.
Mm-hmm.
So, instead of trying to avoid it, what do?
Take that shit head on.
Yeah, agreed. Personally speaking, I definitely experience stress during the busy seasons in my current role. If this is the first episode you're listening to, hi, I'm Jen. I'm a graphic designer, and I work at a university in Wisconsin as a graphic designer.
Go BBs. Woo!
Go Stingers. God. Okay, I'm in charge of a lot of design. Oh, God. I'm in charge of a lot design-wise, and it's my responsibility to figure out how to balance my work and my workplace. Sometimes an overwhelming amount of stress is just unavoidable. Workload piles up, your personal life goes through the ringer, and everything piles up on top of that. How do we get through situations like this? I personally wrote down some tips that I came up with, and some, if not all of them, are definitely ways that I try to avoid this myself. So here we go. It is time for Advice with Jen.
Advice with Jen. Yeah.
Ooh, I like that. We're going to have to clip that.
Yeah.
Okay,
Ooh, we could lay some harmonies in, so then it's more of a
we'll
like
stay late tonight. We'll work on
exactly.
it. Yeah. So I think I have 5 tips. Here's number 1. Time management and prioritization. Does everything have the same level of importance? How can you divide and conquer? Figure out what needs to be done first, then next, and so on and so forth. Doing this will allow you to focus your energy on the things that need it the most. This is something we talk about a lot. You have a lot of different cups. You can't fill them all at an equal height in the cup, right?
Mm-hmm.
An equal amount of whatever energy you're putting into the cup. Myself, personally speaking, well, I'll give the real life example of when I got back from vacation a couple weeks ago. I think I had like one normal day jumping back into things, and then I got sent 8 projects in one day, and I believe 4 more the next day.
Cries in corporate.
Rise in corporate. Yeah, exactly that. Which, that's fine. I love being busy, but it can definitely add a lot of stress when you get 12 projects in 1 week. So the way that I combat the stress and at least help to manage it, I'm going to be stressed no matter what. But
Yeah.
to kind of take that level of stress down, I organize and I figure out what needs to be done first, and then after and after and until I get the list done.
I love that.
I'm lucky enough to have a marketing manager who's in charge of me. So she kind of tells me what the level of importance is for these projects. But if for some reason she didn't, it's my job to kind of delegate that and figure out what I need to do to get them done.
Yeah.
So that's what I do. I just kind of take a step back, look at everything that I have to do, and then prioritize.
Yeah. I have 2 things to add to that. So you talked about the cup. I just saw a video. His name's Jalen Noble. I think he's a big TikToker, but he's one of the few men on that platform that talk about mental health and how therapy is good for you. And this maybe is, he was speaking more on a personal sense. However, this podcast platform, we talk about personal and professional always intersecting, right? So for him, he gave a really good analogy about your cup. And he's like, you know how you can't pour from an empty cup, that kind of a thing. But he's like, but you yourself can't pour into a cracked cup, which means if there's underlying issues going on, the more you try and keep filling it, it's just going to keep emptying. So try and find the underlying reason if you're going to take the cup analogy. But also what Jen's saying is start with one thing. If you're overwhelmed and there's a lot of stress, just pick away at it slowly. Like you don't need to look at the overarching plan. Just start somewhere.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Completely. I like that cup analogy that you bring up. I've never looked at it that way.
Yeah.
At least, well, I mean, obviously we've looked at the cup analogy, but we haven't looked at the cracked bits. And I think that's really interesting. That adds another level of depth, but also perspective to it.
Another layer.
Oh.
Yeah.
These cup analogies are like ogres. They have layers.
Like onions.
I love it. Anywho. Advice number 2, I guess. Build healthy work habits. Take regular breaks and understand the importance of stepping away from the desk for a little bit. Also, maintain a healthy work-life balance. Obviously, this takes work. We've talked about it all the time. But with practice, it gets easier to set those boundaries and kind of figure out those lines and how you should not cross them. You should also reap the benefits of a tidy and organized workspace. This is one of the favorite points that I have on my list today to talk about. Messy workspaces tend to create more anxiety and stress. We can avoid that completely by being organized and neat. Whether you have a physical desk, whether it's your laptop or computer desktop, organization and keeping shit clean and knowing where everything is really, really helps manage my stress. And I think it would help pretty much anybody at work.
I agree.
I've been watching Suits.
Ooh.
I love it. Yeah, one of my favorite shows ever. But there was, I don't remember like what the context completely in this episode was, but one of the workers got a new intern or like associate under him, and his whole table was like a cluttered mess of law files and like case work, whatever, lawyer terms. Becca, I'm sure you can appreciate what I'm talking about here.
Yeah, Becca, can you translate, please?
Lawyer things all across like a big table in a conference room, right? And his like associate or receptionist, whoever it is, comes in and is like, how the fuck can you get anything done here? And like starts cleaning up his pile. And he's like, no, I know where absolutely everything is. Do not touch a thing. And she asks for like a specific paper from him and he grabs it and hands it to her immediately.
Wow, like organized chaos.
Yes. If you can work that way, I commend you. I cannot. I like need to be clean and organized and know where everything is in its place in my personal workspace.
Yeah.
That's just how it works for me.
I agree. Also, I would say that like, let's say that you have a really stressful day at home or at work and then you go home and that space is messy.
Yeah.
Try and keep your personal space at home clean as well. So that way when you come home from work, you can just decompress right away. Yeah. You don't have to look at another to-do list, right?
That's especially important in my situation too, I would say. I'm sure
you don't got a lot of space.
Exactly. I'm sure someone out there has a similar situation to me, but I live in a studio and I work remotely 2 days a week, every single week. And in a studio, I do not have a lot of space. So I end up looking at my work desk or my work spot when I'm laying in bed. If I cannot separate those two things and like have a clean desk while I'm trying to be falling asleep or like relaxing in bed,
Mm-hmm.
that is just going to stress me out even more and add more anxiety to my plate.
Yeah.
I can completely avoid that by just keeping my workspace clean.
And also, it doesn't make you feel pulled away from your work if you've got laundry that needs to be done, dishes out on the counter,
Yeah.
you know, things need to be vacuumed. If that's not taken care of while you're working remote at home or while you're working remote during your hybrid position, you're constantly going to be pulled away and distracted and trying to figure out a way to do both. And that will internally cause a lot of stress.
I agree completely.
Yeah.
Number 3. Physical and mental well-being. This is something that you have to prioritize probably over work or alongside with work. If you, I'm going to say another Suits thing right now. I've got Suits on the brain. There's a character in Suits. His name is Louis Litt. He's just kind of like this weird, quirky, eccentric guy.
Louis Litt, that sounds like a DJ name.
Well, he's a very fancy lawyer.
Ooh, okay.
And yes, he's not like heavy, but he's a little overweight.
Sure.
He always says, I treat my body like a temple, or like things along that line. So it's kind of funny in the show. But in reality, I think there is some truth to that. You kind of do have to treat your body like a temple, or maybe not a temple, but something that you value and appreciate, because if you are not taking care of your body or your like mental well-being along with that, you cannot handle your stress at work. You cannot handle anything at work, really, if you're not taking care of yourself. I think that's the first step to any step forward, really.
Yeah.
Physical and mental well-being. What do I mean by this? Get some regular exercise and try a healthy diet. Or if that's something that's hard for you, try getting better about it. You don't have to be perfect.
Yeah.
Hell, I'm not perfect. I love ice cream, and I will talk about that in a minute. But in moderation. You can have your little sweet treat snacks, whatever you want, but also make sure you're fueling your body with healthy things as well and nutrients that your body can actually use. I wrote, and I like this quote, fuel that fire, move that bus. You can't get things done and do them well if you aren't taking care of the machine that physically gets everything done. Sure, your mind has a lot to do with it, but your body is physically doing the work. So make sure you're taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
Drink that water as well.
Yeah. I want to say one thing about eating. I have a really hard time taking my mind away from work and realizing, holy shit, it's already 3. I haven't eaten anything today. I've just had coffee and water. At that point, I also want to just say that it's just important to eat in general. Like, if you do have to eat shitty, at least give your body something.
Yeah.
Because that's a bad habit that's like really hard to turn around. And is it not the most ideal type of nutrition? No. But it's better to eat something than to not eat at all.
I agree. That's a good addition in there. Thank you for adding that.
Mm-hmm.
Number 4, find support systems. Find people who have your back and have open and honest conversations with them, either about your work stress, whatever else is stressing you out in life. Talk to a friend about those situations as well. It can be your boss, a coworker, or somebody completely unrelated to the situation at hand, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whoever you feel comfortable going to and saying, hey, you know, I'm a little stressed out right now and I don't really know what to do. And then hopefully they can either take some of that away. If it's a boss or a coworker, they can kind of help in that area. Or if it's a friend, they're like, you know what? Let's get your mind off this. Let's go for a little walk. Maybe you need to get some exercise to get some air in your brain and like flow in, you know?
Yeah.
I think that's a really important one as well. Coworkers and, well, obviously bosses as well, but having a healthy relationship with those people at work will definitely better you off in the future, I think.
I agree.
Number 5, and my final point that I will also be talking about ice cream in, is do things that bring you joy. Oftentimes, I'm like talking like a game show host
I love
today.
it.
What the hell is wrong with me?
No, it's great.
Oftentimes, when I personally get stressed about work or at work, I feel like I can't do anything fun because I'm too busy. I simply don't have the time, is what a lot of people will say. Instead, try the opposite. Your body and mind need those breaks. Go for a walk, paint something, eat a little bit of ice cream, sit in your apartment in complete silence, read a book, whatever you need to do that will spark some joy or peace. One of my favorite ways to handle a stressful week is going to Target or whatever store and getting like either Halo Top or whatever brand, like Target has a really good protein ice cream.
Target is your kryptonite.
I know.
But that's okay.
They have everything and it's just so good.
They do. I don't know where I just went. I think it was the Whole Foods that was in Grand Marais. But you know the mochi balls that they sell at Target? Yeah. They sold individual ones. So you could buy one mochi ball that were individually wrapped. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
But yeah, I love Halo Top. So good.
That's like my favorite way to handle a stressful week. Like, I mean, I generally take care of my body. I think I've been eating really well lately, cooking good meals. But if I'm stressed and I have a long week like I did that first week back from vacation, at the end of the week, I'm going to get some ice cream. And I'm having a well-deserved ice cream night.
Absolutely.
Because that makes me happy.
Yeah.
But obviously, like, it doesn't have to be food or like a sweet little treat. Just doing something that either takes your mind off of it or kind of helps you combat that stress will help you at work in the long run, period.
I think that's such a good point. I also want to go back to the physical and mental well-being because I saw that in here you kind of hinted at mindfulness or like relaxation techniques.
Oh, yeah.
And I want to hear your opinion on that because I do feel like a lot of people who maybe aren't interested in like HIIT workouts or super intense physical fitness, that those might be better alternatives.
Yeah. In that step, I definitely did say, practice mindfulness and relaxation techniques, whether it's meditation, deep breathing exercises, yoga, something that will kind of lower that heart rate and bring you back down to earth, I think. I don't have like a ton to say about this. I do think it is important to, well, get exercise, but kind of like you were saying, you can't just be doing cardio or like running all the time to de-stress. I think running is a great way to de-stress, but you can't go for a run every single time that you're stressed out at work, right?
Oh my gosh, no.
So, well, actually, I have done this a couple times before. On Spotify or like whatever streaming platform you have, there are like quote unquote podcasters that just have like relaxation music in the background. So if I'm really stressed or overwhelmed, I have thrown that on in the background a couple of times because even though I love listening to music, something that is just like chill, mellow, calm beats is definitely going to help relax you and bring that heart rate down and make you feel a little less stressed.
Yeah.
One thing that I want to get into more, and Andy, I know you're going to be listening to this. I know you have told me this many times before, and I'm sorry that I'm only just listening to you now. Yoga? Yeah.
Yeah.
My dad, well, my mom's been doing yoga too, but my dad does yoga all the freaking time. And I feel like that is definitely a great way to relax, but also take care of your body as well. You're using those muscles that are probably a little bit more tense and kind of loosening them out.
And it's low impact.
Exactly.
And we love that because sometimes those big workouts that you're doing are stressful in itself because you're now like, oh, I have a big workout today, or like, oh, I'm supposed to hit legs. I really don't want to go. And then it just like jacks it up. With yoga, it's like you're working all of the different muscles. You're working your mind, which is a big muscle itself, you know? So
love
I
that.
get that. Yeah. You also you talked about like manifestation and talking, what is that called when you're like saying positive things? Affirmations.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like that could be a really good thing that you could speak on too. Do you still do that?
Yeah, I do. Maybe not every single day. Excuse me, I gotta clear my throat. I just took a drink before Alex asked me that, and I don't think I swallowed properly. But I probably don't say them like every single day like I was for a while, but I do have, I think I've talked about this before, I have a picture frame in my bathroom that has like 10 different affirmations on it. And even just like seeing that and reading it every day definitely helps bring those things into your real life.
Yeah.
I do think there's a lot of power in manifesting and like saying those affirmations as well. If you go into a situation that you probably know is going to be high stress with even a slightly positive attitude, that is going to better you off for sure.
I agree. Maybe it would be cool, like you use your affirmations in the bathroom, but you could have it on your little desk space.
Oh, absolutely.
If you wanted. And maybe it could be more specific to work, but
yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
I saw a TikTok or something like when I was getting like first into manifestations and that stuff about how even if you're not going to be saying it every day, you should put it in a spot where you're going to be seeing it every single day. And I mean, obviously I'm by my bed every day, but I don't look at my nightstand every day. I put my affirmations in a picture frame on the wall, like right above my skincare, my toothpaste, my sunscreen, you know, so I'm like gonna be looking that direction every single day.
Yeah.
So even just like, I know what it says. Even if I'm not reading it every single day, I know it's there and I know it's gonna help me get into a slightly more positive mood.
Yeah. And I think it's something worth trying. It's not expensive. It's not too time intensive. Like it might be, if you're looking for something to kind of just dip your toes in, get your feet wet, that might be a really good alternative.
I agree.
Sweet. Did you have anything else to add?
No, I don't think so, but I would love to hear your thoughts on this.
Oh, sure. So I do feel that this is a really good segue from last week's topic, the art of saying no, because I feel like learning the ability to say no can absolutely transcend into healthy stress management at work. Stress, in my opinion, is completely unavoidable. Like I said in the beginning, everybody experiences it, whether they like to admit it or not. And I will say it's on a spectrum, right? Like some people can still feel stress at work or in their environment, but because they manage it so well already that maybe they consider that they don't have it, but it doesn't negate the fact that it's still there. So that's kind of where I'm saying everybody's on a sliding scale. Everybody feels it in different ways, feels it in different intensities. Nonetheless, everybody's experienced it. Especially in a work setting, not only do you care about the work that you're putting out, but you usually have management or a whole team of people who count on you to do your job correctly and also in a timely manner. So that in turn creates a lot of pressure, and pressure can cause stress on yourself. So as Jen just did, I want to provide some examples of stress management in the workplace and tips that work for me. Please keep in mind, and I said in here, oh boy, another disclaimer and a reminder that these are my experiences. They are not yours, and they're just tips that work for me. You may already tried some of these and it didn't work, and that's totally fine, but it could work for somebody, or at least bring some sort of comfort knowing that it's not just you and there are solutions to try if you haven't already attempted. To begin with, number 1, drawing boundaries. The line between personal and professional are always colliding, in my opinion. You have an argument with your significant other or your partner, and then you take it into work with you. Or on the other hand, you have a shitty day at work, and now you take it home, and now it becomes a household issue or point of contention to whoever is surrounding you. Personal relationships and stress from work, I see it every day between my dad and I, and I know that at some point, whoever I have worked with, I know that I tried my hardest when Jen was interning with us to not ever let my stress become her stress. But that's just a really good example that lines can be crossed quite a bit. You need to take accountability for your portion of this and put an end to it. Drawing boundaries with work and with yourself so the issues you face stay in their lane. So that's another thing, is keeping work life, personal life, right? It's totally fine if, let's for example say that you're really unhappy with your job and you're kind of asking questions like, is this the right fit for me? What should I do? I feel like that's an appropriate time to ask your partner or ask, your parents or somebody in your personal life on advice or what you should do. And then roles reversed, like maybe you have a coworker where your personal life isn't necessarily the best that it could be and you want to confide in them, that's fine. But obviously with a certain level of trust and kind of reading the room to see if that's appropriate. But I do want to say that for the most part, keeping those two separate is the golden rule. I feel like that would just put everybody in better positions. So I want to provide an example. I kind of talked about that. I don't want to come on here and just, give you advice and then not tell you how I apply it myself, because that would be absolutely silly. For those that are new here, like Jen said, my name is Alex. I co-own a design and fabrication business with my father, Greg, in Duluth, Minnesota. Him and I have a very close relationship. However, we argue all the time. We both want to be heard. We both have opinions on things, how we think that they should be done. And even though that can be a point of contention, usually it just takes a little bit of communication to get us back to that point. However, we've just had to draw boundaries with each other, saying like, okay, when we are having lunch together outside of work, then it's just lunch, and maybe if it's appropriate, we'll talk about work, but for the most part, it's just nice to genuinely care about how each other are doing personally instead of always be talking about work, because then I don't know, that's what your relationship becomes. In a more conventional, traditional way that people work, they say that you spend more time with your coworkers than you do with your family. But for my case, my family is my coworker. Yeah. So it's kind of like, yes, it's so amazing that we get to spend that much quality time, but it's really not quality time because we have deadlines to meet, clients to communicate with, and make sure that their projects are getting done. So it's a balancing act, and it's taken a while for us to get where we're at. It's not perfect. We're constantly evolving and doing better, but I don't want it to seem like it's not hard, because It is. But I think that's what makes it so rewarding to see how far we have come in our business relationship as well. Enjoying what you do for work. This is number 2. This may seem a little obvious, but a huge factor of poor stress management could be tied into the fact that you absolutely hate your job.
For sure.
For sure.
Yeah.
There's a very traditional point of view where if you're unhappy with your job, well, that sucks because you should stay somewhere for 3 to 5 years. It looks the best on your resume. I say scrap that. I've probably said that on here before, but I truly believe no job is worth losing your mind over and your personal sense of peace. I just think if you're constantly coming back to different things that are creating issues for you and they're all work related, ask yourself and be really honest with yourself. Is this for me? Is this actually benefiting me? And I totally get that you got to bring home the bacon, but usually if you are unhappy in a work situation, with a little extra effort and planning, you can find your way out of it and into a more fitting position. And I think a lot of the time as humans, we talk ourselves out of making very difficult decisions because they're uncomfortable. We decide to stay in a comfortable, content position, or content in quotes, because of the fear of making a mistake or the fear of the unknown. And that's usually where our biggest growth is. That's usually where we set ourselves up better than we've ever been before when we take that leap of faith. So a lot of the times I will say it's an excuse. Being in an unhappy position with your work. I've been there before. The last job that I had before I came here, it was the most unhappy I've ever been. And I didn't really realize how much that work was affected. I thought it was more personal. But then I started to look at it after I kind of got over the idea that, oh, this could be a dream job. Not necessarily saying it's my dream job, but the stature of where I was at, the position I held was so much more than I had experienced after graduating college. I was like, oh, I love being the director of something, even if it's events. I guess I'll like that because I liked the status. I thought I felt important and that I should rise to the occasion and enjoy it. But after 8 months of being there, taking a good hard look in the mirror at myself and being like, you look tired. You can see the stress. It's just not worth it. And truthfully, now I can admit it to myself, I actually don't care about the work. And when all of those things wrap up together, it's a pretty obvious decision that I was making excuses for a job that was trying to send me signals that it's not the right spot.
For sure.
Have you felt that way?
I mean, maybe a little bit. Probably not to like an intense amount, you know?
Yeah.
For those who know, like I worked at Ulta Beauty for 3 years, something like that. I think it was, yeah, I left my 3-year month mark, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I enjoyed my job, but it wasn't like fulfilling. It was definitely something, I was in college, so it was something to pay the bills. It wasn't hard work. I got to talk to people and like see my friends every day, which was really nice, but it definitely was stressful. When I was working for Clinique, sorry, Ulta Beauty, if I am about to expose your secrets right now. I do not think I am, but when I worked for Clinique, I had a sales goal. So trying to meet that every single day was a little bit stressful. Probably not as stressful as like a surgeon and like having somebody's life in your hands, but it definitely is a work stressor. And if I'm like kind of enjoying the work, it's not like fulfilling to me and having added stress on it, why stay around?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And you want to know what? Clinique is a very difficult brand to sell to people. I feel like you either go in loving Clinique or you're just like, I guess I'm kind of interested to hear about what they have.
Yeah.
I just feel like they haven't done anything new, really, or like groundbreaking like other brands are. So that's just my personal opinion. So I commend you for having to go in there and hitting your mark when you can. Like, that's tough. Because I gotta say, every time I went into Ulta, I barely saw anybody in the Clinique section. And I'm sure that they miss having you there, because if I would have seen your bright smiling face, I would have stopped over.
Oh,
Yeah.
thanks, pal.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that.
Number 3, avoiding the drama.
Ooh.
Listen, gossip is fun. I get it. I truly get it. But is it worth getting involved and crossing hairs with your coworkers? This is one thing that I think people don't necessarily envision when they think of work stress, because it's a slippery slope and it seems fun and you think that you're connecting with people and you're finally kind of creating roots at work. But typically, no, like it's not worth it. This goes back to drawing boundaries and, you know, also enjoying what you do for work. I think coworkers and who you work for has a lot to do with it. Avoiding drama, this can also add a lot of stress into your work environment if you're participating in it very heavily. Maybe word gets around that you enjoy talking about other people, or if you have coworkers that enjoy talking about others, how can you be confident that they aren't doing the same thing about you when you leave the room? That is stressful. That's a lot. I mean, even like, what if word gets around that you're gossiping about other people and now you're putting out a bad image of yourself and people don't trust you? Stress. I mean, it's like I said, a slippery slope. There's no other way to put it. You think that it's all fun and games and it's lighthearted until one comment is said and it gets the group going or that conversation. And then you're like, oh shit, social anxiety kicking in. I should not have said that. But now it's too late. Like, now I'm into it. Or a lot of times for me, when I worked with I worked at Sephora. When you were working with all women like that, that is a feeding ground for drama and for gossiping. Yeah. Holy shit. I might have told Jen this before, but they used to call me Frosted Flake at Sephora. I was younger. I think that I was 19 or 20, so I couldn't even go out to the bar at that time. Thank God. So I actually had like a legit reason half the time. But a lot of the women were married Air Force wives, like they are ready to mingle and make friends, but they would ask me to hang out with them sometimes, and it just didn't feel like the right fit. And I also didn't really care for the way that they spoke about each other or about their personal lives at work. So I would be off cleaning in the corner, and there was this one gal in particular who loved to party. She had like 4 kids and she was always out at the bar. I'm like, who's watching your children? You know? And she always talked very poorly of other girls, but you just always saw her trying to like almost talk shitty about clients too, or customers coming in. And she would come up to me and I'd be cleaning and she'd be like, hey, did you hear about this? Like, you don't even need to ask for the drama will find you. And so that's my example of being like, hey, it speaks to your employer if they know that this is an issue and it's causing some turmoil, but they're unwilling to kind of address and pinpoint the problem, which was her, and they can't do anything about it, maybe that manager isn't able to turn around your work environment and you might need to leave. Because if that is uncontrollable from the management point of view and you're just, on ground level with this problem coworker, then who's going to fix it? She's not.
No.
She's in too deep. That's just who she is.
Yeah.
I think that that's maybe something that we don't think about, but avoid the drama. It's usually very stressful. I understand if you're venting or something like that, but I would say if you're going to vent to a coworker and you have a personal relationship, try and keep that shit away from the office and not do it on office time.
Yeah. Agreed completely.
What do you think about that?
I would agree. I mean, working at Ulta, I was with early college to, there were some older people that worked there too, but it was mainly like college to like fresh out of college age group women or girls, whatever you want to call them. Women get cutthroat and catty very quickly.
Nasty.
Yes.
Petty.
Uh-huh.
It's wild.
I was the same as you. Like, I would talk to people, or like if something was going on, I would almost try to mediate or like hear one side of the story, hear another, and be like, guys.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Or at least have all the pieces. So
Right.
At least you internally yourself, you don't need to share that, your decision, but you kind of can be quote unquote on the right side of history on your personal preference,
Like, don't get me wrong. Sometimes I do like hearing about that because I do want to know what's going on at work.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't work every single day. So if people were all of a sudden not talking, I would want to know what is happening.
Exactly. Yeah.
But at the same time, like, I'm just here to work. I'm here to get money. Like, we do not need to be in constant drama. And when I left, like, it was getting pretty good, but there was a point in time. Well, there was not a lot of drama.
Yeah.
But at one point in time, the drama was pretty good as well. And so that just adds a lot of stress too, because granted, I was never in the middle of drama. I would hear about it, but that makes going to work so stressful. You're like, fuck, what's going to happen today?
Yeah, waiting for the shoe to drop and like maybe somebody walks out. Maybe there are issues where now because these two people are so concerned about talking shit about each other or having a collision that you need to pick up their job, like their task. So,
but at the same time, it's like, dude, we're working at Ulta Beauty in a mall. Like, is this really that deep?
It's not that deep.
Let's just go help people, which we normally do. But like, chill.
Yeah, chill, man. Well, my last point is number 4, stand up for yourself. If you feel like your voice isn't being heard or you've been fighting battles out of your control that are creating a toxic work environment or increasing your daily stress, you have to put your foot down and speak to whoever the issue is stemming from. And I know that's uncomfortable. Confrontation doesn't always have to be a bad thing, though.
Right.
Similar to drawing boundaries, sometimes a manager or a coworker needs to be put in their place. And I say this could be due to intentional or unintentional actions, but nonetheless needs to be addressed. This can always be done in a kind but firm way. A lot of times, I think that there are so many words in the dictionary and that people use in their vocabulary that sound negative. Like last week, we talked about being selfish. I don't think selfish is inherently negative or bad. I just feel like that's what people only use it for. But I think that there's a positive side to it. So same thing with confrontation, right? There are many other ways to say it, but confrontation doesn't need to be so negative and bad. I think that confrontation is necessary. I think that it's a good way for people to grow and learn about themselves and the other people that are in their lives. Some people need to learn a hard lesson and they may not appreciate it in the now, but later on, once they've had some time to reflect, they'll probably really appreciate you being so upfront and honest with them. And especially throwing in that kind part while being firm shows that you have some empathy for them, saying like, hey, I don't know if you meant to stir drama or cause an issue or be extremely demanding. I'm thinking about now from a management point of view. Like, let's say if when I was working with Jen as her boss, if I were to give her a really poor critique on my part. Poor as like maybe what I was trying to convey wasn't necessarily bad, but the way that I came across hurt her feelings and it wasn't, what's the word, constructive.
Yeah.
Then that's something where I would have hoped that Jen or anybody else in her position would come to me as an employer and be like, hey, just to let you know, like, I don't take feedback like that very well. You may not have meant it, but that's how it came off to me. And I just feel like clear communication, it doesn't even need to be a confrontation. It's communicating.
Yeah.
I feel like confrontation maybe stems into the negative when people are feeling attacked and that there's, defenses getting put up. But if you just look at it as communicating and trying to get both sides out and then coming together and being like, okay, how do we not do this again?
Right.
Then I just think like everybody can benefit from it. And it just creates a more approachable work environment.
For sure.
Nothing is more uncomfortable than being around a coworker or your boss or being a boss and then your employee that if something arises, you can feel it, but nobody says anything.
Right. Who likes walking around on eggshells 24/7? Not me.
Not me.
So why don't you just talk about it and either make up, or if it's not that deep, just talk about it and move on.
Yeah. It just popped into my head. I'm going to tie it back in, so don't you worry.
Okay.
But, when you said it made me think of the baby that's like 1 year old, where they said, who wants to go to the Four Seasons Orlando? And the baby goes, me. Like a little adult. Yes, mother, I would love to go to Four Seasons Orlando.
Entirely self-aware, like 3-year-old child.
Yeah. So my question is, I beg the question, who wants to have healthy communication with their coworkers, boss, and / employees? Me.
Nailed it.
But that is my last thing. I felt like this episode went so quick.
I agree, but I think we did some good shit.
Oh yeah, we did some good shit.
Yeah.
That was like hard-hitting journalism.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Opinion-based, might I add.
What did we say before this is investigative journalism?
This is investigative journalism. What if that's like where the podcast went one day?
To investigative journalism?
Yeah, but in our way.
Oh.
I don't know what that would look like, but I don't know. I just had like a That's So Raven moment when I like looked into the future.
So Raven.
It's a future I can see.
That's so Raven.
So scary as me. Yeah.
Yup. That's me.
I love that we can just like go off script like that, but yet we're still doing the same thing. It's like we automatically know whose part is who.
I love it. We just get each other.
We do just get each other. Well, I'm going to open up the floor for any final thoughts that you have.
My final thoughts are, well, I'm pretty set on what I said, but listening to you, I agree with everything you say. I personally think if you are miserable in a situation, you're not enjoying your job, things are just constantly making you feel anxious, stressed out, not wanting to go to work, why put yourself in that situation or stay in that situation? Mm-hmm. Sure, you can try absolutely everything that we listed and maybe it will get better for a little bit, but eventually if it just keeps piling up and going back to that really negative space, why put yourself through that? Just get out if the stress is that bad. But at the same time, if it's a manageable amount of stress, try these things. And if they don't work, maybe reconsider.
Yeah. Yeah. And don't be afraid if what you truly want to do makes you uncomfortable. That is okay. But also don't make excuses to stay in the comfort zone. I feel like I have a hard time saying it's comfortable because obviously it's causing stress and it's uncomfortable to be there. But the idea of leaving and starting something new and kind of uprooting what you're in and like the security of it, that's uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, just don't make excuses. You are the only person that can control the outcome of your life and your circumstances. So you got to do something about it because nobody else is.
Period.
Yeah. And if somebody else is, you're probably getting fired.
Period.
And who wants that? Not me.
Not me.
Not me.
God.
Oh, I love that. Well, that's kind of my final thought too. So I'm really excited for next week. Jen and I will be back. And then 2 weeks from now, the first Monday of August, I believe.
I think so. That's when we're filming it. Yeah.
First Monday of August, we are going to have a guest.
I'm
And
so excited.
Jen is going to be conducting the interview, co-hosting with our guest. So next week, we'll splurge and say who it is.
Yeah.
But until then,
no spoilers.
no spoilers. Y'all got to keep guessing. Ooh, that would be fun. Actually, guess who our guest would be, or like guess what the topic will be, or like what the vibe of the guest is. Like, is it going to be...
We'll have to put a poll on Instagram.
Yeah. Is it going to be business? Is it artsy? Is it community based? Like, where?
Is
Who?
it queer based? Gasp, I know.
I love it. Keep the drama going.
Oh, I love the drama.
The drama. Well, everybody, happy Monday, because today we're recording, but have a happy Friday today when this is released, and we'll see you next week.
Goodbye, ladies, gents, and germs.
Hell yeah.
Good night.
Smell ya.